I'm Steve Milliken. I'm also a solution architect for Schneider Electric, representing Australia here. So I'd like to thank you all for sticking around. This is the lucky last session of the day. I don't have any prizes to give out, unfortunately, but we'll see how we go. This presentation is about shifting your hospital from analogue to digital. If you're here to learn about televisions, you've come to the wrong presentation. We're going to talk about healthcare infrastructure today. We've got a huge opportunity at the moment with a lot of competing demands, but a lot of you might be using great new technologies from big cloud service providers around artificial intelligence to improve how efficient you're working, to improve efficiency, safety, accessibility and resilience of your business and your technology. In the last 20 years, we've had a real change from the analogue to the digital in our day-to-day lives. Some of you might remember analogue clocks. These days, my Apple Watch reminds me to stand up every hour. I'm sure a few of you are the same. But really, these technologies open the door for a lot more opportunity for cross-platform communication. They can adapt to your behaviour. They can expand capabilities over time. And they allow remote data sharing and collaboration. In healthcare, we've got a particularly important challenge. There are competing demands on healthcare services today and tomorrow, and we've got really finite resources to work with. So what we're going to talk about today is how Schneider Electric is seeing the vision of the digital hospital, the journey that we're taking with our customers, and the impact of digitalisation on existing hospital infrastructure, with a bit of time for Q&A if you'd like to stick around. To put the sector in perspective for all of you, healthcare in Australia makes up about 10% of our total GDP across public and private healthcare. That's 250 billion Australian dollars. So in terms of the market we're playing in, we can have a really big impact. And I'd like to remind you all that a lot of the hospital infrastructure we've got, it's funded by us. We're the taxpayers, the businesses here. So it's the responsible thing to do to optimise the facilities we've got today and to plan for the future in a way that's sustainable for all of us. You can see there that there's a pretty big split, but we're talking about $9,600 per person. I'm sure all of you would like a few more dollars back in your pocket as well. The trend's only going up. So you can see the graph on the right there. By 2027, 2028, we're talking about another $10 billion every year that we're going to be spending. And we've got $40 billion of large infrastructure pipeline in Australia at the moment that we're investing in. On top of that, we've got a massive skill shortage. We are talking about 2.5 times the specialist and skilled labour required to deliver the next 6 years of planned infrastructure. So we're going to have to find a way to work together to be more efficient and to really get some better outcomes out of the investment in technology. Some of those here that you can see today, we've got some insufficient infrastructure with this population growth that my colleague was talking about earlier. We really need to tackle how we're going to make better use of existing infrastructure. And on top of that, we have a real big skill shortage in Australia and around the world in healthcare professionals. We've got an ageing population where acute care is becoming more of a challenge, and how are we going to service those needs? Patients are expecting more from what they get when they come into a healthcare facility. And we've also got the pressure of decarbonisation. So a lot of competing demands, and we really need to understand how we can better manage and act on the data we're seeing. In Schneider, we have 4 critical outcomes that we like to focus on. That's resilience, patient care, efficiency and sustainability. And putting all those together is the technology and infrastructure that we offer, aligned with our customers. So the big question is, how can digitalisation help healthcare facilities meet all 4 of those critical requirements? The story here really comes back to planning. There's a great book recently released called How Big Things Get Done. And the statistic around the world is that 99% of large infrastructure projects go over budget and go beyond the planned time frame. Really tough statistic. So The big lesson from their story is more money spent and more time spent planning correctly means a much higher success rate in getting these projects delivered. Some of you might have had experience with that. I know I have as well. Making sure that we avoid downtime is critical for us too. Depending on where you look, downtime can cost anywhere between $70,000 and $1 million an hour, depending on the type of facility we're working with. So your investment in the right infrastructure at the beginning might save you millions of dollars in the long term. I'd also like to point out that technology is just a tool. Really, this infrastructure is about time saving largely. You could potentially operate a large healthcare facility with 200 times the people to open every valve and actuator, but really we've got much more sophisticated ways of doing things today, and they're much more cost effective. So the vision is a digitalised decision making for the life cycle of a healthcare facility. When we're planning this design, operate and maintain solution, what we really want to do is make sure that what we model at the time of early design is what we get at the end of the project delivery, and we have a system that we can make sure works the way we intended for 30 plus years. These assets aren't there to be turned around quickly. There are tools available now that let you model all of the data frameworks from incoming electrical infrastructure. You've got solutions like ETAP that let you model changes you might make to your grid infrastructure as well over the life and consider which investments are most worthwhile. The benefit of standardisation across healthcare districts is that we can unlock portfolio-wide benefits and align key outcomes for teams across clinical, operations, facilities, and always keep the patient at front of mind. You can't manage what you don't measure. So we look at this HIMSS model, the Healthcare Information and Management System Society model of connected infrastructure. And a lot of the facilities we work with today, they are working on the level 1 or level 2, and the benefits getting it up to that level 6 or level 7, when we're talking about connection between operational technology and information technology systems, mean that you've got the teams enabling complete end-to-end workflows based on actual team needs. You've got clinical teams like nurses and the nurse management systems where they can use a single display to manage the patient journey as they're entering the hospital, and systems like lighting, systems like HVAC are automatically scheduled so that the patient gets the best experience. There are a lot of technologies in a hospital, and this is only a view on screen of our operational technology. What we're finding is customers are asking us today about how can we integrate with our computerized maintenance management systems, how can we view commercial data and plan for the asset life cycle in terms of long-term investment, particularly aging infrastructure. A lot of the healthcare providers and the infrastructure teams don't know which assets are most likely to fail. They don't know the age of their existing assets, so it's very difficult for them to plan if they're having an impending failure to come or if there is investment required, and also to compare what's on the market today to make sure that they're getting the best value out of the equipment they've got installed. So when we look at a holistic view here, the highest level of enabling technology is at that software layer. So it doesn't matter always what technology you've got in the field today. We would like to talk to the customers about their long-term journey and what the outcomes are. So don't think technology, think outcome. In terms of connected infrastructure, we had a great discussion about the changing environment for renewable technologies, and particularly there are transitions to things like heat pumps in healthcare facilities, but we've also got additional renewables. So connecting your critical infrastructure, things like the microgrid, looking at power quality analysis in line with Australian healthcare requirements, Australian standards, is really important. Looking at digitalised maintenance for your critical plant means that the investment in the technology will also reduce the time to maintain and the response times to get things back online. And cybersecurity is the other big one. So a lot of our customers are coming to us today and saying, how will we know that we're safe from cyber attack? So it's important that the investment in the operational technology and the information technology is aligned with standards like the NIST principles and the Essential 8, which Australia focuses on. That requires a lot of discussion, and it also means you have to understand what is in your asset. Again, you can't manage what you don't currently monitor. There are some really big lessons learned from a lot of these large infrastructure projects that we've delivered. And the future of artificial intelligence in these digitalised assets means that the data has to have contextual information. There's no point in us reading 17 different systems telling us analog input 17 is active. We need to know exactly what that's associated with. So making sure that semantic data tagging is installed and implemented at time of construction, or is focused on if you're looking to retrofit and plan for any asset upgrades, is a really valuable investment, I would say. It's also worth validating the data before acting on it. So it still is worthwhile making sure that your teams understand what they're looking at before you make decisions and big capital investments. And the last thing is, not everyone working in a healthcare facility understands the operational technology behind the scenes. You know, we're just, again, a team of professionals trying to work together to get the most out of the facilities. So we highly recommend the use of simpler language where possible, really people language, because it means the people from across different domains will understand what they're seeing. There's a big impact on implementing some of this technology and the thinking behind it. We've had real outcomes with real customers around the world where meeting those 5 key challenges we talked about before, we're getting some great outcomes. You can see there, on average, in some regions, we're getting up to 15% reduction in energy consumption overall. We're addressing the workforce shortages by reducing the patient journey times. So if you've got a 20% reduction in the workforce requirements because you're getting to patients faster, you can make much better use of the assets, and you may not actually need to invest in expansion of facilities. We're getting better patient scores as well. So in some of those private organisations, those patient complaint metrics are critical to make sure that you get patients coming back, and we've all been on Google reviews before going to a restaurant. It's no different with healthcare facilities. We're getting cost savings, and the decarbonisation journey that we're going on with the all-electric hospital is going to be top of mind for many of the large hospitals we're talking to. We've got some specific examples, just quickly. We've had microgrid renewables installed. So again, the early planning with this campus means that we've got 100% renewable energy available around the clock and the capability for island mode operation. So in times like pandemics and with the current global tumultuous nature of the world, we've got integrated systems, particularly security is a big one for healthcare facilities. So the workflow for secure operating theatres and lab-style environments, integrating your automation systems and HVAC with the security flows of people, granting access, or if you've got a leak in a certain area, you unlock some really clever workflows that mean people are safer, and also it's more automated, the process, to get the right result. We've got particular metrics around patient aggression. So in this particular site, we're looking at a 10 to 20% reduction in aggressions and also a 50% improvement in overall response times. And lastly, in London, in the UK, we've got a 100-plus-year-old healthcare facility where we've looked at the power monitoring solutions for operating theatres and targeted a new connected real-time location system to effectively reduce the overall patient journey to get the reduced operating costs they were targeting. And we've also ended up with a much better asset plan for that facility because we can see where the power's really been utilised. What do you need to do next in your digitalisation journey? Well, the first thing I would look to do is open up between your teams about what the key performance initiatives, the KPIs are for each of those teams in the healthcare environment. The clinical teams, the operational teams, the local facilities teams are often working against different metrics, and we all need to work together to get these great outcomes. And if we can start with the patient journey and work our way backwards toward the technology, I think we'll get much better outcomes for these facilities.